It is Yulinda Renee, the spiritual clinical counselor and sexual self-awareness coach, bringing you what's another fire episode of From Shadow to Sacred. It is Sex and the Raw. And y'all, I am so excited to bring my girl to the microphone, Camille Telicia. Yes, the intentional goddess, helping you build your business by design and helping you get your what? Money in your life in alignment. Yes, ma'am, that is my girl. You like that, didn't you? Yes. Come to the microphone and tell the people about yourself, Miss Ma'am.
Oh, goodness. Well, first of all, hello, caller. Um, Thank you so much for just inviting me and allowing me to be on your show. I think that talking about sex is something that women, especially Black women, we get to do more often without the stigma, without shame, without embarrassment, any of that stuff, the guilt that surrounds it. So I'm very excited to be here, number one. Camille Telicia. First of all, I live for people saying my name correctly. Thanks. I love it. And I want you to know that just on the fly, my girl just gave me a whole new headline, putting your money and your life in alignment. Oh, I love it, which is exactly what I do. I work with women entrepreneurs. I mean, I can work with anybody, but I love to support women, to be clear. In just really knowing, loving, and trusting themselves as they move through their entrepreneurial journey. I like to use spirituality, personal development, and also business strategy inside of that, in combination, in conjunction, however you would like to think about it, to just create something that feels amazing to them. I mean, I think it is such a gift when you can really love and enjoy what you do intentionally.
Mm.
And so my purpose, yeah, it is my purpose, and my mission is to just help women create that in their lives. So yeah. And
I
I'm in
love
Atlanta.
that.
Does that count? Is that good info? I'm in Atlanta also.
Oh yeah, we need to know where you're at. Of course, of course. I love that you are helping, like you said, women, business women especially, just really become intentional about who they are and how they show up in all the spaces, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes. And you and I have had some conversations just, on the side about just how we are exploring our femininity and our
Yes.
sensuality and all of that good stuff. So tell us a bit about your journey as far as you getting to know yourself on that level.
As you know what? Wow. I don't think I've ever talked about this story per se in like full detail. But anyway, so I would say my journey to really just knowing myself and then owning my femininity and really embracing that. It started when I was in LA, so probably around like 2012, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started getting in good shape. I left Atlanta, moved over to LA, changed my whole life, and really just allowed myself in a new environment to learn who I was out there on my own, no family. I knew like two people. Fast forward into, I started doing Herbalife stuff, and I was like getting in shape, and I was feeling good about my body for
Mm-hmm.
the first time since maybe high school, if even then. And so I think that was the first step, is like feeling good in my personal soul sack, just the container that is holding my soul. Then I started working with a spiritualist, kind of doing some light coaching. I don't want to say it was full life coaching, but it started giving me access to just like, say, calling myself a goddess sometimes, and just tapping into the divine part of me. And then I moved back to Atlanta when my mom passed away. I started working with a life coach to kind of just deal with my grief.
Mm-hmm.
And then in that process, the conversation started back up again, like knowing yourself. You are a goddess, you are a woman. What does it mean to be in your feminine?
Mm-hmm.
And I started spending time intentionally with other women and finding comfort in it, because I realized for a long time that I wasn't really that comfortable in my friendships with women. Like I was like, you have your close girlfriends, but you've grown up with them. So it's different as when it's like I'm meeting a woman for the first time and I'm having a conversation with her. I'm trying to find a point of connection. And so I was inside of this women's empowerment group for a few years. And we were meeting twice a week, having calls, conference calls, other calls, classes. And I really gave myself permission to learn how to be vulnerable with women, how to
Mm.
be transparent, how to stand in my power also, because I think that's one thing where sometimes we are either like super in our like, oh, this is who I am. And so we're kind of more in our masculine around women where we feel like we have to stand strong and run everything.
Mhm.
And then the divine feminine leadership where it's like, I empathize with you, I see you, I'm understanding you, I'm giving you this guidance, I'm offering you a suggestion, you can take it or leave it, but I'm holding the space for you. I don't feel the need to run the show per se. And
Yes.
so being inside of that space coupled with my coaching really just gave me a lot of access to um, embracing the femininity and also loving myself, because you can't love other women if you don't love yourself as a woman. And so that really was important for me to get to the point where I could look at myself in the mirror and look at myself, look in my own eyes, right? And smile.
Mm.
And it sounds like such a small thing, but when you really for the first time look at yourself and like see and start crying, like feel
Mhm.
sadness. I remember the very first time in a coaching session, and I literally felt like really sad. Like that was all. And obviously I was grieving also, but there was no smile. There was no like, I see you, girl. Like, oh my God. You know, and so the day when I did another mirror exercise and I literally felt joy
Mm.
looking at myself, I was like, okay, we done did some work, baby girl.
Yes, man.
So that was a
Yeah,
very
that's
long
deep.
story.
And you
Sorry
talk
about
about the
that.
masculine. So did you find yourself at one point being more in your masculine and shifting? Is that what
Oh,
happened?
absolutely. I mean, listen, I came from in a corporate America space where I was the only woman in the office. It was
Mm.
IT. I'm like with the guys. And so there's a different type of energy that you have to be on just to be able to be in an environment like that. But what I didn't realize is that I was carrying that everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like there wasn't a lot of softness to me. There wasn't a lot of just being and owning who I am and like loving my curves and going with the
Mhm.
flow and just being, you know, every time I start talking about femininity, my body literally starts waving. Literally, I can't help it.
Like it, we can do a little dance. That's cool.
Exactly. It was like just being, you know, like a woman, you know? And so, yeah, I definitely was in that masculine for quite some time. You know, like I would have moments where I could drop in, but my default was more masculine for sure.
Mm. So how did that shift affect your relationships? Period. Like how did moving from the masculine to the feminine affect how you interacted with people?
Oh, just people.
The people in general, and then we're gonna go into relationships. We can segue. We can segue.
You know what? I think that it has made me a lot easier to connect with. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like I definitely remember in, you know, after the fact, people were like, well, you know, I thought you were a little mean. I thought you were standoffish. I thought, you know, like they had all these perceptions of me because of me like standing in this on guard and like, you don't need to know me. And I got to be firm and I got to be all these very masculine qualities that aren't bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a woman, you know, like I get to honor the divine feminine because guess what? It's fun as hell. And so I think for the like on the just immediate, I think it was a lot easier for me to begin connecting with people and for people to feel like they could also connect with me.
Got you. And then the relationships. We gonna
I mean, like in the spirit of this show, honey, I will simply just say that my sex life went through the sorry,
you can
my,
cuss. You can
it,
cuss. Bring it. Okay.
like, I mean, and not like, oh, I had all these partners now, but just like my experience sexually was so much more fulfilling, so much more
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable. I learned how to be vulnerable when I wanted to be vulnerable. And when I wanted to get a little, you know, spicier and try some new things, like I also found comfort in doing that. And I really got comfortable just being me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that that also makes me more attractive to, you know, like I'm hetero, so it makes me more attractive to men in the sense that I can be in my feminine, and so they get to shine in their masculine in a way that isn't like they have to prove something. They can just
Mm-hmm.
be in their masculine. So I also think that that was more attractive as well.
I love that. So, in the spirit of this show, as you say, so
Mhm, mhm.
as you are shifting, or as you have shifted into your feminine, you began to explore what has that looked like.
In the spirit of the show.
Yes, it's
Oh,
sexually. Sexually, yes.
okay, that's what we gonna call. Okay, okay, I I had multiple orgasms for the first time, and that was like, I mean, that was post 30, you know what I'm saying? And so I learned, I was like, oh, what was you doing, baby? For
Before, right? Like, girl.
I was like, oh, I've been out here just wasting time. Okay. So that, I mean, I think that's my biggest accomplishment now. But I feel like I've been more willing to express what I like. And I
Mhm.
definitely, slap me on the ass, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and being willing to ask for that and
Mhm.
not feel like embarrassed. Like, honestly, if I can share,
Mhm. Of
wow,
course.
how you got me talking about these things, Yulinda?
Break
Okay.
it down.
I remember the very first time a guy I was dating slapped me on the ass during sex, and I was offended. I was like, you're treating me like I'm a slut and all this stuff. Like, I had so many stories around it. I couldn't
Yes.
even find the enjoyment, right?
Hmm.
And so after, like, we talked about it, and he was kind of like, what's happening? Why would you even like go there? And so,
Mhm.
like, it freed me up to gain a new perspective about it. And then eventually freed me up to let it happen again. And
Mhm.
to the point where then I'm like, can you do this or not?
I got a list. I mean, you ready? Or
Like, so are we gonna try it? Like, are you committing to the experience? So it's
I love it. Girl. Yes. I love all that energy.
yeah, so it's like just little things like that where I don't even want to say advocating for myself, but it is really advocating for my pleasure. How about that?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Mm.
Mhm.
And you know what? And that's such a space that we normally don't go to as women. Like, we don't advocate for our pleasure. We're so used to just showing up and just letting whatever happens happen.
Woo.
You know what I mean? And not advocating and voicing, like, you know what, that didn't even really do it for me. Can we try this instead? Like, mm,
Hello.
yeah.
Hello.
So those
Hello.
stories you mentioned, like, what were some of those stories that you kind of had to deprogram or rewrite in order to let yourself be more vulnerable and express?
I mean, it really circles all the way back to childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, like I'm nicely endowed in the rear area. I got a little junk in my trunk. It's the natural junk. No shade to anybody else, but like, I know in today's standards by what we are creating in the doctor's offices. It's not considered junk in the trunk, but back in the 90s, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, oh.
You was
So
doing it in the 90s, girl. You was doing it. Okay.
listen. And so, like, I just remember my mom always kind of saying, like, don't let nobody slap you on the butt, like, that's not good. Like, she would try to make sure I didn't wear anything that showed off the fact that I had a butt, which is like, if you have a butt, it's gonna be seen in
Exactly.
the clothes, and
Yes.
so it was like there was always this like had like my ass is not to be seen. It's not like a
Mhm.
thing for, it was just a very interesting, I don't even have all the words for it, but the things that come up when I think about how I used to feel about like men even giving my ass attention is like it's disrespectful, right?
Mhm.
It's like
Mhm.
they're over sexualizing you. They just want you for one thing. Like, it's those kind of conversations which aren't true.
Yes.
I mean, it
That
can it
can
be
be
true?
right.
Of course, but like it's not the absolute truth, and it's definitely not the truth when you're in a relationship.
Mhm.
Like, this is the person that is supposed to sexualize you. If anything, like, this is the one who is supposed to see you in this light, and you should embrace that. And I wasn't embracing it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Got you. Got you. Yeah, and a lot of these stories are written in childhood, and us trying to deprogram as adults what we've learned
Exactly.
as kids can be a mind fuck sometimes. So, did you notice, like, was it linear, or was your journey kind of like up, down, all over the place when you got to the space?
Ooh. I no, I don't think does anybody ever have a linear journey, honey?
No,
Like
they don't. But I just want to
like
ask.
like I could pretend to be like, yes, as soon as I got here, it was smooth sailing. No, of course it wasn't. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of, well, I thought I wanted that, and no, maybe I didn't want that. But wait, why didn't I want that? Is that a real reason?
Mhm.
And kind of thinking you're making forward progress. Like, yeah, I'm cool. I know myself. I'm comfortable. And then something happens to kind of test that,
Mhm.
and then you realize, okay, I got a little more work to do. Like, okay, I thought I had this self-love game on lock. Like I'm just about myself. And then, oh, he said that about me. Oh, he said, like, he had that thought, and it wasn't even really a thing, but I've internalized it into this thing now. And so now I'm questioning everything and I'm spiraling. And it's like, okay, got some work left to do. But
Mhm.
I'm definitely further along than I was when I started. And
Yeah.
I think that's all that matters. Like, I haven't backtracked to day one. Like, I've definitely step three at least.
Well, girl, we're gonna clap for step three. There you go. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So,
That's his progress.
yeah.
Hmm. So, what about women who are still pretty entrenched in their masculine and they want to be more feminine? They just can't figure out how to get there. Like, what kind of suggestion would you give them?
I mean, honestly, I can only share from what has worked for me.
Mhm.
And so, and like, I'm not an authority on all things feminine, but what I will offer is like spend time with other women, especially other women who are showing you a version of femininity that aligns with what you would like for yourself. Even if right now they are just like 5% more feminine than you are, like it's still progress, right? Because then once you get to that 5%, you will start noticing the women who are 20%. And then you spend time with them and find ways to work with them or be around them. And then you get to your 20. Like I think it's a progress, because I don't think that if I had just been thrown in a situation like, oh, you're about to go do a whole goddess girls weekend when I first was in this game, I would have been miserable. Like, would I have made it work? Sure. But I probably would not have gotten out of it what I could have after I'd been through, the experience and went through the process of, oh, I was hanging out with one or two women. Now I can hang out with five of them. Now we're doing girls' nights, spending like at one point I was doing like goddess girlfriend nights every Friday. We did a show and then we all spent the night together every Friday for almost a year. And I will absolutely say that that definitely helped me a lot, because we held space for each other. It was like we created a fun but yet still sacred container where we were talking about all of the things, right? And I got to see what it felt like to be around women who I could express my ridiculousness, my sexuality, my joy, my pain, my vulnerability, and it still be safe. And there was no judgment. It was only love. And, we got to dance around. We did naked things together. You know what I'm saying? Like we just we did all of these things that really just allowed me to see what it feels like to be in divine feminine energy.
Mm.
But if you had asked me to do that in 2016,
Mm.
honey, honey,
You weren't
I'd have been
going.
like, hey, so thanks for dinner, guys. This was great. Like, it's no, like, hell no, but I had gone.
So, what would you tell just those who are listening when they are on this journey of just really getting back in alignment, right, with their
Mhm.
sexual, sensual, feminine self? What would you tell
Um, Spend some time with yourself,
them?
in a manner that you're not lonely, you're not looking for like the distraction. Like, go take a bath, honey.
Mm.
Like put some herbs, some flowers, some smell good, put your music on, light a candle, take a bath, be with yourself. Don't get on the phone and get distracted reading about other people, but just like spend time with yourself. Because I think that's one of the first keys to really loving yourself for who you are. Like, if you can't be with yourself, and I'm not saying by yourself, but if you can't be with yourself without needing something to dampen the experience, distract the experience, be a buffer for the experience, like, how are you ever going to know yourself enough to love yourself?
Mm.
Like, you don't even know which thoughts are your own. You don't know which feelings are your own. You don't know what your body is like, you don't even know when your body is aching, or when it's craving something, or when it needs something, or when you are horny. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're horny because you just need to masturbate versus I want to be in communion with another person right now and exchange energy. Like, you don't know any of these things if you don't take the time to just be with yourself. So take a bath, take a long sensual shower if you don't have a bathtub available, or just sit and meditate. You know what I'm saying? Like, just do something, and also masturbate. Shit. Also do that, because that allows you, because listen, and not with a toy.
Mm.
Manually masturbate, okay?
Mm.
Because there's a different connection or experience that happens when you are actually the one pleasuring yourself with just yourself.
Mm.
I think. I don't know. You tell me, what do you think?
I love it. I think so too, because like you said, it's a different connection, skin on skin versus you using a toy and you being able to be the orchestrator of your own pleasure and orgasm. That connection to self is different, I would think, as well, than using a toy. Not saying you can't. I mean, you got
No, not knocking any toy use. Please be
exactly.
very clear.
But yes, I agree. It's a different type of empowerment
Yeah.
to be able to do that for yourself at least once, be able to bring yourself to that completion.
And
I
be willing to touch yourself. How about that?
girl,
Because that's really what it's about, right? Like, you're
man.
touching yourself.
And
You
that your vulva is not dirty or bad or there's nothing wrong with it. Like, girl, we have to talk about the proper names for it, girl. It's a
without shame, knowing right who you are.
yes,
Right. Right. No, finding your own G spot. Okay. That requires you to not just touch yourself, but go within.
exactly, literally.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. But then, like you said, that deprogramming of the things we probably learned in our childhood or religion or social media or whatever the case may be, that
Yeah.
we're dirty. Like that part of ourselves is something's wrong with it. Like we give birth from
Yeah.
it. Come on, you know?
How about we create life?
It's,
Forget even birth. You are literally creating life. Like, if that ain't being a manifester, and not in the human design sense, but just someone who is manifesting, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Okay.
and how worthy of being valued.
Hmm. Hmm. Come
Girl,
on.
I just got chills. Woo!
Come
I
on.
just got,
Come on. Come on.
I just got chills. Oh, please tell the people where to find you, Miss Intentional Goddess.
Yes, you can find me at www.theintentionalgoddess.com. That is where I am. If you are interested in human design things, you can go to introtohumandesign.com and learn about that. We didn't even get to touch on that, but that is a whole additional
Yeah, you have to come back. We're
conversation.
gonna have to have a whole conversation because I need to get into this cycle popping. So we're
I'm
gonna
with it. I'm with it. I'm
yeah,
with it. But
part
yeah,
two.
and on Instagram, I'm also the intentional goddess with the @ sign in front, so you can find me there too. Hmm.
Yes. And speaking of having a reading, I'll just give a real quick plug. I had one. It was flipping amazing. I lived my whole life based off it now. I am a projector. Okay. That means I need to wait to be invited to do the things. And guess who's waiting to be invited? And while I wait, I chill and do a little research and do a little
Oh
research
wow.
and then chill. But anywho, we're gonna bring y'all back.
Yes,
So you gotta stay tuned for part two
yes,
so we can let y'all know about all the things.
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. I'm here for it. Just let me know.
No problem. Thank you so much, love. This has been another episode of From Shadow to Sacred. It's Sex in the Raw with Miss Camille, the intentional goddess. We will see you next time.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
now.